Well, this episode of Frasier has just about all the hallmarks that we've come to expect from the Frasier brand. A party gone awry, sibling rivalry, mistaken identities, phony accents. It's all here. Let's talk about My Brilliant Sister. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It, and welcome to my review for episode 7 of Frasier's second revival season. This episode is called My Brilliant Sister. We just have 3 more to go for season 2. I know it seems like it's wrapping just as soon as it began, but this episode has got a little bit of everything that we have come to know from the Frasier brand, and could be one of my favorite episodes thus far of the new version of Frasier. So before we launch into the specifics, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new around here, please consider subscribing, click that notification bell, like this video, comment below with your thoughts on Frasier, and all of that stuff, of course, helps the channel. If you are one of my subscribers already, thank you so much for returning to the channel, and please do comment below, though. I love talking to the Frasier fans and the Frasier haters, too. Look, there are some people that watch my videos that don't love the new version of Frasier. That's okay, too. Obviously, you know, all opinions are welcome here. So let's talk a little bit about My Brilliant Sister. I will say, if you're new to the channel, though, and new to my Frasier reviews, I will be talking spoilers for the plot details of this episode. So go and watch the episode first if you haven't already, and then come on back to the channel. So this one was directed by Kelly Park, who directed, I think, one of the funniest episodes of season 1, which was the blind date episode. I thought that was a very, very funny one. And then we have newcomer, at least in terms of Frasier, Max Maduka, on the writing portion of this episode. And she is known... She's credited as Max Maduka, but she's known mostly as Uzumaki Maduka, and she helped with shows like Invasion on, I think that was on NBC, Gaslit, Diary of a Future President on Disney+. She either helped with the writing or the story editing on those projects. So this one, though, she gets front and center with the writing credit, and boy, oh boy, I mean, I'm not sure if it was her idea to make this such a sort of complicated episode story-wise or not, but she certainly hit it out of the park with this one. So this story essentially is that Frasier is throwing what he considers a tailgate for the Harvard-Yale football game. And we learn early on in the episode he doesn't really quite understand what a tailgate is because he's going to host it in his apartment. But essentially, we learn from Olivia's character that her sister is coming into town. And I don't know if she's been mentioned yet in season 2, maybe once, but she was in a couple of episodes, at least by mention, in season 1, but we hadn't met her yet. And we know that there is a competition there between sisters, sibling rivalry, another hallmark of Frasier. So, like I say, I mean, this episode, before I even launch into the plot, really has it all, because you've got the sibling rivalry angle, you've got some highbrow humor, some lowbrow humor as well, you have some mistaken identity, miscommunication, people pretending to be someone that they're not, we have all of this wrapped up in a nice farcical nature, and all the characters really are playing to their strengths in this episode. Even some of the ones that we don't traditionally maybe love as much as some of the others, like David and like Olivia herself. So her sister Monica emerges on the scene, and we learn that she is played by Yvette Nicole Brown, so another wonderful guest star to the Frasier list. And she actually was just recently on The Masked Singer a few weeks ago, and I do Masked Singer videos as well. So I've been talking a lot about Yvette Nicole Brown in the last few weeks, but I always love seeing her. And so one of the deals with Frasier and this party is there is a reclusive author that is, you know, apparently going to be at Frasier's tailgate. The word is that he's going to appear, but no one quite knows what he looks like. Frasier doesn't know, Alan doesn't know, and Frasier is hoping to maybe get him to himself for a moment so he can talk to him about the Frasier biography, and we learned about that a couple of weeks ago, so kind of, you know, picking up some loose threads from a few episodes ago, and he's hoping maybe that this gentleman could write the foreword for the book or something like that. So he ends up enlisting Alan and David's help in trying to figure out who he is, but Then on the other side of the coin, you've got the whole Olivia and Monica matter. So Olivia's sister, we learned about the rivalry in season one, but we've now seen in the flesh, okay, she is a real go-getter, and she is sort of belittling Olivia around every turn. And so Olivia makes up this boyfriend and tries to kind of go along with it, makes up a few facts about him. He's Spanish, he's a guitarist, he, is very well accomplished in his field. And of course, she's going to have him at Frasier's party. Why wouldn't she, right? So once Monica leaves the scene, she's keeps getting calls from her husband saying, "Oh yeah, no, I'm not busy, just with my sister," or whatever. So she excuses herself, and Olivia goes over to Eve and Freddie and says, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? I've sort of made up this boyfriend," and we know from the very, very start of the episode that there's a lot of things, a lot of callbacks in this episode that I actually really, really appreciate. I think this is a very well written episode. But we see in the very opening that Eve and Freddie had just come from a softball game, the firefighters versus the theater nerds, which is Eve's team, and the theater nerds won out, so there was kind of a rivalry there. But Olivia comes over and says, "Look, please, please, please help me with this. I made up a boyfriend, Mark, and I need, you to look at your theater contacts, Eve, and maybe come up with somebody that can kind of play this guy, Mark." Freddie gets wind of this, and he says, "Oh, well, why don't I just play Mark? I'm suave, and I can definitely, pull this off, whatever." So we get to the party, and we realize that Eve has indeed found somebody to portray Mark. So Olivia and Monica come on in, and he just lays it on, starts kissing her. "Oh, my love," this and that. He leaves the scene to get some food or whatever. And then Freddie comes down, not realizing that Eve already found someone, and he starts putting the moves on Olivia. So we learn in Olivia's version, there are two Marks, one with a K and one with a C, and she's sort of together with both of them. Meanwhile, we have, like I said, at the other side of the party, Frasier sort of running around frantically with Alan and David, trying to figure out who this guy is, what he looks like, this very esteemed person. And we learned that Frasier actually was going to try and tank his own party because the president of the school, I guess, was going to throw his own party. And so Frasier was thinking, "Oh, well, everybody's going to go there. Let's throw, the worst kind of tailgate I can think of," which to Frasier seems terrible, having sort of pedestrian food and such, like pizza bagel bites and whatever. But it turns out that the crowd really loves it because, look, that is what we have at a tailgate, right? So they're, loving it. Everything is going swimmingly, and it turns out this guy is here somewhere. Alan is trying to make some headway on what he looks like, but the person he's on the phone with, their phone's about to die, etc., so we don't get the description as the audience, and nor do they. But we do actually, as the audience, eventually figure out who this person is, and Frasier mistakes him for a General Rube that came to the party. So that is another sort of fun side piece. And then all the while we have Alan, this isn't even like a C story, really. It's just sort of a throwaway joke, but Alan is trying to figure out how to make strawberries and cream and is messing it up beyond belief. And he thought, well, how hard could it be? But it turns out for Alan, it is very hard. And there's also an Alan throwaway line early in the episode. He suggests that Frasier does a parent trap without kind of understanding what the parent trap is or how it would work. But that comes back later on at the tail end of the episode. And to tie that all up, this throwaway line from like 2 minutes in, I just thought this one is really a winner. There's been a lot of sort of these Frasier hallmarks this season that I've talked about just about every week. I mean, every week there's some sort of like miscommunication, some physical comedy maybe, with varying degrees of success. But this episode really, really has everything that we have come to expect from the Frasier brand, so to speak, from, a party gone completely awry, which they even poke fun at in this episode when they're talking about tanking the party. I think it's Alan that says something like, oh, well, that won't take long if it's one of your parties, or maybe Freddie says it, whatever. But, harkening back to those Frasier and Niles debacles from the original run of Frasier. So you've got, the terrible party going on, the sibling rivalry angle between Olivia and Monica, which ends up, we find out Monica actually is sick to death of her husband. He's so irritating. He calls her nonstop. So her life is not as perfect as it would appear. And everything sort of comes to a head in this last scene where Olivia is actually entranced by this really smart dude that Frasier is trying to nail down. So she ends up kissing him and being caught by Monica and, all of that. And there's some funny accents because we learn that the Freddie version of Mark comes from England, and the actual actor of Freddie, who is, was it Scott Cutmore, whatever his name is, but he is from England, so he's putting on a very, very over the top British accent here. It's not quite like the Dick Van Dyke Cockney thing, but it is definitely like over the top. And the actor Jack Cutmore Scott comes from England, so he gets to utilize that a little bit. So that's not only mistaken identity, but putting on fake accents. That's kind of a fun. I don't know that that's a hallmark of the Frasier brand, but we've certainly seen things like that in the original Frasier. And so, yes, you have everything kind of combining at the end. Almost everyone, I think, in the cast is in sort of that last scene together where we realize, okay, this is this person, this is what's happening with her, and this, that, and the other thing. So it all comes together. For me, this is maybe the best episode of the new Frasier that we've gotten. I keep talking about the Lilith episode from season 1. I do still think that is definitely up there. But this one, I think, covers so much ground, and it's all done very, very well. It's funny. The physical comedy of going, from here to there over and over again between, party guests, that works. The mistaken identity works. And we've had a lot of sort of mistaken identity, this seems to be like a Three's Company sort of thing, where every week somebody overhears something. But look, the original Frasier did that a lot too. Maybe not every episode, but there was certainly a lot of that in there. So we get that. And we get everybody being on their A game. I mentioned earlier in this review that all the characters are kind of playing to their strengths. And I think that is a great thing, because some of these characters I think have been a little hard to write for or to find plots for where they're not like wedged in. Like David was a part of, one scene or one B or C plot in the last few episodes. Last episode, he actually had a lot to do at Cape Cod, but in the previous maybe 3 or 4 episodes, he was there. I think he was in all the episodes, or maybe there was one he wasn't in at all. But anyway, they're using him very sparingly. But last episode, I thought they kind of got a nice groove with his character, and they're sort of continuing that here. He's not doing a lot of heavy lifting, but his sort of naivete and willingness to help Uncle Frasier, regardless of what, the silliness of the plan is. I think that is all kind of working for that character. With Olivia, we're getting some more depth with her character. She's never been one of my favorites. I talk about that a lot as well. But having met the actual sister and having witnessed them kind of play off each other and stuff, we see a little bit more about her neuroses and where that comes from. So look, this for me was firing on all cylinders. I mean, can you put this up against the best episodes of the original Frasier? No, probably not. But I think when you think of Frasier, these are the, sort of hallmark plot devices that need to be utilized for a truly great episode of Frasier. And I think this is a truly great episode of Frasier. I think I may have been a little high last week on my grade. I do think the BB Glazer episode in episode 5 was probably up till now the best of the season. Last week, I graded it the same. The Cape Cod episode was a lot of fun, but probably A- was a little high for that. But look, this one, I think, deserves the title of best episode of the season. It could be my favorite of the whole series so far. I think this was a winner. I leave My Brilliant Sister with an A. And I noted also that it's a little longer than the normal episodes. Usually they fall into that like 23 to 25 minute format fit for, if it were on television, which of course it's not. Streamers can do whatever they want. So this episode actually clocked in at a little over 27 and a half minutes. And maybe those extra couple minutes helped flesh some of this stuff out. I don't know. But whatever the case, it worked for me. Hopefully it worked for you as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments on this one. Other than that, check out my other videos in the meantime, and I will see you next week for another Frasier review. Thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you then.